Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. Today, we are talking about Survivor 50, Episode 3. Did you vote for a swap? I'm runner co-host Josh Wessler, joined today by Derek Kubicek and Ryan Stacy. Fellas, did you vote for a swap?
Yes, I did. I voted for a swap because I think it's a good way to get just all these different relationships mixed up, form new ones, and it makes for a more interesting merge. So I generally prefer it when there's a swap.
I think swaps make the game more interesting, while also acknowledging that if somebody gets completely swap screwed, let them come back. Two things can be true. I can want the swap while also acknowledging that someone might get screwed.
Yep, that's Survivor.
Very true. I did as well.
Yeah, as Charlie said.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah. Guys, what a great episode. I really, really enjoyed this episode. There was so much interesting social strategy and dynamics going on, not much BS-ery. I really liked this episode a lot.
I think social strategy is the best way to put it for this episode, and which is, I think, some of the most interesting strategy. Unless it's going to be a really weird big move that plays with the votes. Obviously those types of episodes are fun, but whenever you get a swap, we really get to see, especially in returner seasons, you get to see those dynamics both in the game and potentially outside of the game come together.
As is becoming a pattern on season 50, I don't even want to talk about my feelings until we get into the spoiler section. So if you guys are okay, I'd like to just do that.
All right.
So spoiler alert, go watch it. This is a great episode. 3, 2, 1. Getting into it, the social strategy, but also we have this promising cast of returners. And something like a swap, you get to see, all right, who's going to backslide, who's going to step up, who's going to remain cool as a cucumber now that there's equal pressure being applied across the board. And I think we saw some risers and some fallers tonight. It's easier to track now that I guess the whole thing got turned upside on its head. So social strategy, maneuvering, how people think about the game, and even some additional secret folds, I suppose, I loved tonight.
So you would say that some people really played cool as a cucumber?
Womp womp. The Q, we all know Q stands for cucumber. Yeah, we're going to lose Q tonight. It's a bummer because I wanted Q to go a little further. I knew he was going to Q himself out of the game, but he really didn't Q himself out of the game, I feel like. I feel like he just got a bit of bad luck, and maybe his reputation kind of helped take him down, that's what happens. That's why you got to be careful with your first game. It could tank your second game. But yeah, we are going to lose Q, which is a bit of a bummer because he's fun, but it was still a great episode.
I feel I need to go onto the podcast and say, in our season 50 cast assessment, I think we all had Q as our biggest question mark on the season. So I'm hesitant to say that we got the perfect amount of Q, because this was about the point in his first season where he started to be a little more erratic and a little less fun. I'm not saying that would have happened to him in 50, but there's a chance, and now we get to go out on a high because Q was delivering great confessionals. He was great fun. If I had my way from an entertainment perspective, Stephanie goes home and Q stays.
Yeah.
That said, whether or not it was the right move, you'll have to wait until we get to the end.
I think Mike put it perfectly, where if you let Q stay in the game, he has a very strong personality in the game, and he dictates a lot of the energy when he is there. So I agree, Derek. I think that this was a great spot for him to exit. Would have it been interesting? Sure. But in a returner season on Survivor 50 with so many people that I want to see, I'm okay with Q not being a dominating presence.
I mean, Q does stand for hogging screen time.
It's true.
We got to make all of the Q references that we can.
This podcast. We can do it.
Q, big fan of the podcast. Come on and cancel Christmas for us literally anytime.
No, actually, seriously, cancel Christmas. I hate Christmas.
I also am not a big fan. That's why Spotify Wrapped is our favorite winter holiday.
No, I get it. But I would have rather see Stephanie go. I prefer to have Q here than Stephanie, but I get it. It's fine. I can always tolerate good gameplay if it means losing someone I like watching on screen.
It's more if the entertainer stays around, that's the silver lining.
Yeah. If it's a bad move but the entertaining player stays, great. If it's a bad move and the entertaining player goes, that sucks.
That's what we call a double bummer.
That's canceling Christmas. Should we get into the episode?
Yes, we should.
All right. So we kick things off. The tribe's going to get tree mail, which everyone kind of thinks might be a swap. So everyone's a little worried might be swapping things up. So Christian and Devins, they want to let their alliance members, Emily, and it turns out Cerie's in their alliance now, know about the boomerang idol, that Aubrey has it. So connect with her to use it if you can. Plus, Cerie and Devins have both played with Aubrey. Cerie and Aubrey were in an alliance together on Game Changers. So they tell Cerie, that's great, but they don't get to Emily in time. And they're going to keep saying it's because Emily was talking to other people or whatever. Make eye contact, like meaningful eye contact. Like, do something. I'm annoyed with Devins and Christian for not being able to get this information across. Do better. Like, come on, guys. I'm rooting for both of you a lot, but this was really bad.
Borderline inexcusable,
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
It's not Brendan Shapiro levels of bad here. Is that who it was in Tokyo-Machines?
Yeah, I mean, few things are.
Few things are that bad. They were trying to check in with their alliance. I would be very interested to know, was everyone on this tribe just so hyper attuned to what was going on and they didn't want to give off too wishy-washy or suspicious of vibes to just say, hey, Emily, can you come off and talk with me for a second? I don't know. You need to, like Ryan said, find a way to at least make like crazy eyes saying, hey, I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet, but I have something to say.
Casually walk by, kick her in the foot. There's ways to get her attention and draw her away. Yeah, borderline inexcusable because we don't know how much time they had. That's the one and only reason why this could be excusable. If we saw all the time they had on screen before going to the swap, then maybe I could give them a pass. But even then, I'm like, no, not really. 99.999% inexcusable. You have to get this information across, and if it doesn't, it could blow up your game, and it almost did.
I want to rewind for just a second. Was it a good move for Christian and Devins to tell anybody about this? I know we're fed it's because they think a swap might be coming, but a bird in the hand worth two in the bush. Should you really be bringing other people in on an advantage to try and solidify something because you think a swap is coming? I think this is a question worth answering.
Because it's the boomerang idol and it's a weird situation, I'm going to say yes.
If you really like that alliance and you want to see everyone survive and have those numbers come a second swap or post merge, I would say yeah. There's much less downside here. The worst thing that could happen is that person tells too many people and then everyone ends up knowing, which ends up happening. But even then, if that person is stranded on their own and just kind of the last thing that they could do is maybe build that bond because of that idol, awesome. You might have just saved one of your closer alliance members.
Yeah. And I'll just end by saying, Ryan, I think there's something to that time because it was after tree mail that they suspected a swap,
Yep.
right? So at that point, maybe they concocted their plan. Hey, it's time to share some information. And there wasn't that much time. We don't know. We'll never know. Rick Devins, literal friend of the podcast. How much time did you have to plan for this? We would love to know.
I think they had enough time.
Any time is more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go to the swap. Jeff is going to give us a rap for some reason.
I'm going to tell my kids this was DJ Jazzy Jeff. That was a dumb joke.
Wow.
I didn't need this. I'm going to be honest. Didn't need this. It just seemed a little cringe.
A little cringe is the way I would describe it. I think that's what the kids would call it. Wow. If I ever become host of Survivor, I can promise you I do not have the confidence to rap on national television.
And that's why you'll never be the host of Survivor, Ryan. I'm not opposite Ryan, but I'm opposite Josh on this. I want Jeff to rap more.
No.
Just do it. Like, yes, was it befitting a Cocoa Puffs commercial from the 90s? Yes, it absolutely was. I was waiting for parachute pants and the oversized turntables. It was a beautiful thing. It was art. Rizzo would have called it cinema, but I will just stop at art.
I'll say it was art, by definition, it is art.
It elicited emotional reaction from you,
You
right?
know, art doesn't have to elicit emotional reactions. It's a creative endeavor that was presented to people. That's art. That's about all I'm going to say on that.
You guys are crazy. Appreciate what we have.
But we're going to do the swap, and as it's happening, Christian whispers in Emily's ear about the idol and Aubrey, and she's like, why are you telling me now? Fair. That's a fair question. This was not great. And at this point, I think Christian might have been better off not saying anything.
I agree. There's more harm that could happen, not only with, your relationship with Emily, but also everyone else is around you.
Mm-hmm.
You saw, I think it was maybe Joe behind them, could see that you were whispering something to her.
Yep.
It's like there's so much more downside at this point.
Agreed. So, new Sela tribe. Suri and Devons are going to stay here. They're going to be joined by Charlie, D, Jonathan, and Camilla from Kalo, and Rizzo from Batu. On Kalo, Coach, Chrissy, and Tiffany are going to stay here. They're going to be joined by Aubrey, Genevieve, and Colby from Vatu, and Joe from Sela. And then on Vatu, we're going to keep Angelina, Q, and Stephanie. And they're going to be joined by Christian, Emily, and Ozzy from Sela, and Mike White from Kalo. So interestingly, Angelina, Christian, and Mike all on David versus Goliath, all in the same tribe here.
I love that just last week we talked about, wouldn't it be great to have someone like Joe and Coach on the same tribe?
Yep. And here
we
it is.
are.
So over on Kalo, Coach, Joel, and Colby, they all want to work together because obviously, but they want to bring in Chrissy. Coach likes Chrissy. He knows that Chrissy rubbed some people the wrong way on the other tribe, and she was probably going to go first. But Coach wants Chrissy in the game, so he warns her, like, hey, bring it down a notch. Don't talk so much. I want you to stay in the game.
Which is really funny because Tyson gave this same spiel to Coach back in Heroes versus Villains. Mm-hmm. Say not that Coach does not learn from past events. I think he was thinking about Tyson's conversation with him when he did this.
Yep, it is very funny, kind of crazy. I wouldn't have called that one at all. This is not a prediction I had on my bingo card.
No. Survivor Coach coaching someone on social etiquette. It's interesting.
And coaching is very loosely, I think, applied here. It was more so just like it took a couple of tries for him to even get his point across because he wasn't using words.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah,
bring it down. Yeah. Yeah. He almost does like shut your mouth, but it turns into more like make it smaller.
Yeah. I think he could have worded this a little bit better to be, nicer. I would say.
Oh, see,
Chrissy.
I think he was trying to be nice.
He was,
and doing
he just
it
didn't
badly.
do a great job.
So yeah, we'll see. Chrissy gives a confessional, like maybe this is the bounce back point for her. Maybe she goes on to win from here. We'll see.
We'll see. That would make me look silly for my fork.
Mm-hmm. Over on Sela, we're going to get a conversation between Dee and Jonathan. Basically, they're like, we love Suri. She's a wonderful person to hang around. She has to go.
And to one of our listeners' questions, I think it was a few weeks ago now, to explain Suri's game and why she's so dangerous. They have this exact conversation, or Dee says that her friend says, vote out Suri. Why would I vote out Suri? I love Suri. No, that's why you vote out Suri.
Yep.
Correct.
Do you see what's going on right now? That is why.
And they've had this conversation every time she's returned.
Yes.
Like, people have talked about this. Yeah, Suri is the best to ever win because she's so nice, so fun to be around, so likable. She makes you want to work with her. And she's willing to work with you. She'll work with anybody. So on Vatu, Mike has played with Angelina and Christian before. He and Angelina are super close friends. She had a cameo on White Lotus,
which we got on the show.
which was great.
I wonder what Paramount thinks about that.
Hey, I don't know. It helps both.
Well, I mean, isn't Paramount buying HBO?
Oh, yeah, they're trying to
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Mike is also friends with Ozzy because Ozzy used to be a manager of a restaurant that Mike went to all the time. So they know each other from that. So Mike's got that connection too. Q's going to connect with Ozzy about the boomerang idol because Q knows Genevieve gave it to Ozzy. So Q's going to be like, hey, so you got the idol, right? Genevieve gave it to you. So the two of them, Stephanie and Emily, are all going to talk about working together and take out Angelina. Q wants to sacrifice her because he doesn't think very highly of her. Plus, she's part of David versus Goliath's trio. Emily is going to tell them, like, I'm not sure I trust Christian anymore because at the swap, he's just told me Aubrey has an idol and I know nothing else. So yeah, Emily's pissed and kind of blows up Christian's spot. to Q and Ozzy, which leaks to Stephanie. So that's not great. And this is why this was so bad, Christian and Evans.
Emily does not get off scot-free.
Sure.
Because Emily, as a seasoned player and someone who's supposedly coming back in having experienced the arc of being more self-assured, and I understand this isn't a story. People often, I don't want to say backslide, but they have ebbs and flows, and life is anything but a straight line. This to me screamed like someone who was feeling that level of paranoia and insecurity given the situation. And instead of stepping back and realizing, wait, I really don't have a long-term place with Q, Ozzy, and Stephanie, which I don't want to say it's not possible, but let's look at what's more realistic. Emily, you fit in with those 3 David versus Goliath folks, on paper anyway, way better than you fit in with kind of the jock half of the tribe. And that's not to say that you can't be friends with anybody, but don't be spilling the beans this early, even if you're uncertain.
Yeah, she blows up the spot too quickly. When, maybe we saw it, maybe we didn't see it, but maybe she did. But she needed to reconnect with Christian, just be like, what is going on? Why did you wait so long to tell me? And just get some clarity before you blow things up and move into this alliance with Q, Ozzy, and Stephanie. Yeah, I think she just kind of reacts without fully thinking it through.
At best, it's sloppy. At worst, it's desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had the perfect opportunity. Kind of lucky that her and Christian, it would have worked as well with Devon's, I'm guessing, but there was plenty of opportunity because of that to just clean this up.
As soon as this conversation's over, Emily's going to realize that Q and Stephanie are really trying to kind of steamroll and control the strategy here. So she immediately has this buyer's remorse. It's like, maybe you should have not spilled the beans so quickly. You can get to know these people a little bit more before you tell them everything.
And of course, because it's a night and day difference as far as the strategy talk and just personalities between the two groups of people that she's used to, strategizing with this entire time. So yeah, it doesn't take long, unsurprisingly.
So Emily's going to talk to Angelina, and she's going to say, Angelina believed Rizzo and Genevieve were the next targets. Emily's going to be like, no, honey, I'm so sorry. It was you.
It was you.
So now Emily's back targeting Q and Stephanie, and then she's going to talk to Christian about everything, be like, hey, don't hate me. I totally blew up your spot. But Christian, he's like, I got to let it go. Don't have a choice. And so now it's the David and versus Goliath group with Emily. Emily, this was so much simpler. I know Christian screwed up and it was bad, but Emily, you didn't help anything. Bad.
And this is probably the most emotion I've ever seen out of Christian.
Yeah. Yeah. He's pissed.
He understands what it's like to be a disappointed father now, and I think he's feeling it a little. Why? We were, but everything, nothing makes sense. I get that. I do. I feel that a little bit.
Derek, as someone with a 4-year-old.
See, no, even my 4-year-old would have not spilled those beans, I don't think. I think he would have said, thanks for telling me, and then we would go, yippee.
I don't know. Anytime you're like, hey, this is a secret cookie. Mom doesn't even know about the secret cookie, and then he just laughs and it's like, I don't have a secret cookie.
No, Dad didn't give me anything. Yeah. Or Mom will walk in, hey, what are you guys doing? I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Or immediately after overhearing a swear word, says it back and like, no.
Yeah, Grandma and Grandpa using a swear word in front of him, and he immediately turns around and says it to his teachers at preschool. We're getting off topic.
Yeah, it is still on topic.
Mom, Dad, do not cuss in front of my kid. Christian, do not misbehave in front of Emily. She will rat you out to everyone.
Or Uncle Josh says a swear word, and Emery just immediately blows up the spot by shouting, that was a potty word.
Yeah, it was a potty word.
You guys are being stupid.
Yeah, that's a potty word.
That's a potty word.
Though, small aside that you might find funny, Ryan. So we were leaving the Timberwolves game on Saturday. Josh was with us, and we were stuck at a red light for the longest time. And Emery, just from the backseat out of nowhere, just goes, well, I guess I live here now. He's barely 4, and that comedic timing was like designed in a lab.
Me and Derek were just like, wow, this is a really long light. And then he just follows it up with that. Like, what?
Well, I guess I live here now.
Good. That's pretty good. I like that.
Anyway.
Over on Kalo, Genevieve's going to keep working her social game. We see her trying to bond with Chrissy, Joe, Coach, and Tiffany. She probably pushes a little too hard and just starts throwing Aubrey under the bus and telling him why she wants Aubrey out next. Probably a little too much too early on that one, because Tiffany, who likes Aubrey, is going to go back to her and be like, hey, Genevieve's targeting you. So I'm worried Genevieve could get idled out of this game.
Yeah.
It could happen. I actually thought the edit might be getting us a little bit. I thought their tribe might lose because I thought Genevieve wouldn't be pre-scheming like that before losing an immunity challenge. Yes, get to people and make them feel safe with you early, but in that same conversation, you don't throw Aubrey under the bus. It makes you look like you're unreliable to work with long-term because you're already throwing somebody under the bus. Not everybody is Rome, Genevieve. You don't. Yeah. Not everyone's going to maybe feel the same way about Aubrey that everyone felt about Rome.
Yeah, good point.
I do like the approach of like doing this with a couple of people. It seemed like she just went way overboard with telling it to essentially everyone that was on the tribe. Like, pick 2 or 3 people that you feel the most comfortable with and talk to them about that, because you know, maybe that's all the votes that you'll end up needing. There's got to be someone on that tribe who wants to work with Aubrey and sees an opportunity with Aubrey. So just be really careful about that.
Yeah, you got to feel it out.
It was funny watching Genevieve do I'd like to start a dialogue.
Yep.
Supercut montage against Aubrey. Is that foreshadowing? It might be.
So over on Sela, Rizzo is going to bring up the whole Charlie and Maria of it all and ask Charlie about it. And our internet cut out here while we were watching. So what was Charlie's reaction like, Josh?
Yeah, because Rizzo just kind of out of nowhere is just like, all right, can I ask just one question? Charlie, have you and Maria spoke since your season? Charlie seemed a little bit taken aback, but, you know, responded well to it. Didn't really seem like it bothered him. I don't think a whole lot, but essentially he just said, no, we haven't talked since 3 days before the finale aired. And that was kind of it when it came to that conversation before just cutting to their next conversation in the hammock.
Yeah, which is where our internet came back.
Rizzo, he's the kind of, well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Probably don't do that.
Now, to be fair, every time anyone from the Survivor press interviews Charlie, he gets asked this question. But Rizzo, you're not in the press.
Well, and also when people are hungry and perhaps emotional and a little paranoid, and people are looking for cracks or looking for reasons to vote you out, looking for baggage to use against you, bringing this up in front of a large group of people when it's a new group of people, no. I think if you're having a conversation and he brings it up, or you're one-on-one with him and you want to ask him about it, give him a chance to be vulnerable, to suss him out, or even just to learn about him, fine. But this was not the setting. This is Rizzo doing the thing that Rizzo does. He's coming on too strong, I think. I'm
curious if there was a bigger conversation that just got completely cut out, because he almost prefaced it with by saying like as a big fan, I have to know, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder if there are a lot of back and forth talks about kind of like insider notes about each other's seasons.
Sure.
Maybe was a broader conversation. I wouldn't be surprised, just because this did kind of seem out of left field.
But Rizzo and Charlie are going to keep talking, and Rizzo, he doesn't have anybody from his original tribe on this new tribe. No, Savannah's out of the game, so Rizzo's alone. So he's going to try and bond with Charlie. He tells him about the boomerang idol that Genevieve found and sent to Ozzy. And this is all great, but Charlie, it turns out, has no interest in working with Rizzo and actively wants him out because of what happened overnight. We're going to get a flashback. Rizzo's going to reveal that his number one is Sophie B. Well, was Sophie B on 49, but he voted for Savannah at the end instead. Oof. Charlie does not like that. And the thing is, it's not really quite the same. And I think Rizzo kind of did himself dirty here. All he had to say was like, okay, I didn't really have a true number one. There was a trio of us. And now that, you know, I would get it if Savannah was still in the game and you want to downplay that relationship, but she's out. So now what Rizzo could say is like, yeah, I was really close to Savannah, and then Sophie B, we were super, super tight. And then if they ask who'd you vote for at the end? Oh, I voted for Savannah, and here's why. Here's what she did. Sophie B really didn't do anything. The way he presented it could have been done better. And Charlie, who has baggage from his season, clearly is a little triggered, and now is like, I want Rizzo out. I don't want him anywhere near that jury.
I think a lie might actually sink Rizzo if this comes up to bite him, because I think Savannah was Rizzo's number one. They worked together the entire game, and I think because Savannah, season 49 winner, was in this game, and he already has this big question mark over his head, might have been trying to deflect a little bit, saying, this person that you guys don't know was my number one, so you don't really have to worry about me. I'm separate from Savannah. I know she's gone, but I think that he was closest with Savannah. Rizzo, big fan of the podcast, let us know if this was true or not. Regardless, I think you do have to be wary of other people's feelings on the matter when you're talking about this. Why did you vote for Savannah? I love Sophie B. She's my best friend from that season, but she didn't play a very good game.
Obviously, he doesn't know that Charlie's going to take this personally, but just kind of leaning into, like, she played the better game, won, 5-2-1. Several people, like, obviously agreed with me. And even though Sophie was the person that I felt closest with, there was a reason why I didn't vote for her. It wasn't personal.
So yeah, we'll see if Charlie takes out Rizzo soon because of this.
He says in confessional that he wants to.
Yep.
He wants Rizzo to be next, which I actually think it's kind of fun that there's a little bit of meta in here, just because you get that with returner seasons. We talk all the time about things that happen in All-Stars and Heroes versus Villains, these big returner seasons. And this is kind of the first, like, almost meta thing that has come up as far as really impacting gameplay.
Immunity to challenge. It's the blindfold caller one. Camilla, Chrissy, and Christian are the callers. Camilla absolutely slays this challenge for Sela, and they win. Chrissy gets a nice come from behind victory to win it for Kalo. Christian blows it. Vatu is going to tribal council.
Chrissy gives Colby a concussion.
Possibly, yeah. Poor Colby.
Oof.
Yeah, if you're going to be the caller and the blindfold leader, like, you have to be good at it. You can't just, like, let people run into stuff. So yeah, bad on Chrissy for letting that happen. She needed to do that part better, but, at least they won immunity. I was really nervous, like, is Colby going to get medevaced? Oh, no.
I was worried.
Gosh. Hey, he still could.
Yeah.
Concussion symptoms don't always show up until the next day.
So yeah, I am worried about that. So, Vatu. At first, I think Mike White is about to blow this up because he gets kind of emotional and tells Stephanie to her face that he's going to vote for her. I'm like, oh no, Mike, what are you doing? Is this the end of Mike White? No, this is definitely a strategic move. He actually wants Q out, but he puts on this big emotional facade and says, yeah, Stephanie, I'm sorry, I'm voting for you.
Everyone remember in episode 1 when I said Mike White was just going to try and Mike White his way all over the place? This is a prime example of Mike White just Mike Whiting all over the place, I think.
What do you guys think of this? I'm so torn because it seems like it's a really bad move. Just because you have, it's almost public forum a little bit. I know that it's a distraction or like a deflection while you're going for someone else, but I feel like there's so much downside to this that is it even worth the risk?
This is such a unique situation where it's a returner season. Your allies are people you've played with, and it's not like you can really say you're going to vote them out because no one believes Mike White will vote out Angelina because he put her on White Lotus. So and also the fact that it's Mike White, someone who is very rich, very successful, probably has no shot at winning the game, but is still trying. So this is such a unique situation. I don't know if anyone listening to this is ever going to be like a really famous, well-known TV show runner. That'd be great. I hope you all the best with that you plan. I think that sounds great. So this is such a unique situation where I think Mike White specifically can get away with this because it's all a trick. I don't know if anyone else can. So I guess as a consultant, I would say it's, again, probably not a great call to tell someone to their face that you're voting them out. But this is a very, very unique and specific situation that you're not going to typically get on a season.
I know sometimes we'll say, oh, this is a very specific circumstance. We like it here. We don't like this in other times. I'm going to be very honest and say I'm not really grading Mike White on traditional strategy in season 50 because he's not a traditional contestant. He's not on a traditional season, and it's anything but a traditional situation. It's almost hopeless. That's why I said in episode 1, he has to Mike White his way to the end. This was an example of fearlessness, if nothing else. It came across as being fearful, but it's actually fearless, and I respect that. So good on Mike White for this, but probably don't do this. You might come across more like Dreams than like Mike White. Don't do it.
Yeah. If Mike wants to win, he has to do stuff like this. Basically, Mike has to get to the end having done all this crazy stuff and like just dare them not to give it to him.
Exactly.
That's his only shot.
Yes, I dare you. I double dog dare you.
But yeah, it's going to turn into Q and Stephanie and Ozzy seemingly trying to get people to vote for Angelina to break that group up, and the others targeting seemingly Stephanie, but in reality it's Q.
And remind her, because I forgot until it was brought up, Q doesn't have a vote.
Right. So yeah, 7 people, but only 6 votes. And I bet you Ozzy regrets giving up his extra vote now.
Wouldn't have mattered, but yes.
I mean, hey, you could have, if you have Ozzy with extra vote, now it's a much more tangible reason for Emily to flip. Because if Ozzy's got the extra vote, now it is 3-3 with Emily in the middle. With Q not having his vote, Ozzy not having his extra vote, there's no reason for Emily to flip because it would just end up in a tie.
And Emily does not know that Q doesn't have a vote, so she would think if Ozzy has an extra vote, I have to flip. I'm going to get levered into this. So that's a good point, Ryan.
So Emily and Ozzy are going to talk. Emily's kind of the swing vote, but she wants to have this side alliance going with Ozzy just so she can play separately from Devins and Christian, which I do like that. That's a smart call. It's an odd pair, but if it works, great. And Emily's like, let's take out Q. And Ozzy's like, no, please no. Let's take out Angelina, pretty please.
I want to not come back to tribal, please.
Q wants to try and get the votes split up. So he's going to ask, because Mike is going to pretend like, I can't vote for Angelina. I know you guys are targeting Angelina. I can't vote for her. And Q's like, all right, I know you said you're voting for Stephanie. How about you vote for me instead? And Q's hope is like that could just split the votes and they can come up the middle and take out Angelina. And then Q's going to lie and says he has an extra vote as well. I don't mind this. I wonder if Ozzy ended up blowing up his spot, but Q's in a desperate situation. So I kind of get the lie just to put a little fear in and hope things break your way if things aren't. So I'm not mad at Q for trying this.
The key for me, Q does not know that he's the target at this point, and I believe that he does not know that he's the target at this point. Why are you trying so hard to save Stephanie? I think if I'm Q, I just try and get to the next vote, try and win a challenge, and try and link up with more people who want to work with you later on, and just accept the fact that right now, why would Emily ever flip on the David versus Goliath 3 to come with us? We really don't have much to offer her long term. So I think there's a mismatch of incentives here done by Q, but I respect trying to create chaos. I'm not mad at him for that. It's just, if you think it's Stephanie, maybe you lean into that a little more.
To answer your question, I think it's because Q was on whatever his tribe was called with Banu, like one of the worst tribes of all time, where they had a huge streak of losses in a row. So I would imagine in Q's mind, he's like, we'll probably be back at tribal council again. I need to take control now or I'm just going to get picked off next time. That's probably his mentality, which I get.
I can see that.
If Stephanie is the one to go now, Q's probably next.
So I get it. But we're going to go to tribal council, and Q can't vote, so there's only 6 votes. It's 5 votes for Q, 1 for Angelina. Definitely a blind side. Even Stephanie was like, how am I still here? Just the look on her face was just someone who was 100% expecting to get voted out and wasn't. So that was very, very funny. I like the Q vote. I think it was smart. I think he's a much more dangerous player than Stephanie. Though if he could absolutely Q himself and make it so he can't win, but he can tank a bunch of games on the way. That's why Q's a threat, is because he could destroy everything.
Yeah, it's almost... do I want to make this comparison? Because I don't want to insult Q's game that much, because he doesn't deserve it. But
I know it's coming.
It's a little bit like Abby Maria, where the bomb is going to go off eventually. Now, we've only seen it once from Q, so I don't want to say... one occurrence is a trend that's going to happen every single season, like it does with Abby Maria. But things, people do get taken out along the way when he is about to go off or in the process of it. So it's the type of situation where you take out the wild card while you still can and while everything is still intact.
You can't spell wild card without a Q.
Well, and I was going to say you can't spell twist without a Q, because I know this is entirely with hindsight, but I think I know what Q should have done, because I think they made the right choice. Between Stephanie and Q is the one that should go home. Now, let's go into La La Land, because that's what podcasts are for. If Q can convince the David versus Goliath 3 to actually vote out Stephanie this time, like they said they were going to do. He gets them comfortable. He brings in Ozzy. They make it a unanimous vote. There's, this facade of unanimity. So like all of this. Then what Q has to think is, hey, I know that Ozzy has the idol. I know it's a boomerang idol. I can make Ozzy feel safe. They get Ozzy next time, and then he knows that idol boomerangs back to Genevieve. He's the only one who has that information, and maybe you can use that as inroads to get yourself maybe one more vote and get Ozzy sent home. So he had more to offer a group of people to try and get a little bit further. Or if he can keep the fact that it's a boomerang idol secret, he can go back to Genevieve and say, "You're welcome." So that's pie in the sky, but I feel like that was his best bet if he's just throwing Hail Marys up.
Sure. What did social media say?
Yes. Very, very, very heavy on the side of no this time. About 88% combined say that the wrong person went home tonight.
I think I know why that is. It's because social media hates Stephanie because they think she's MAGA.
Yeah, there's some stuff around Stephanie. I haven't really read much into it. I just know there's a big feud between Stephanie and Eliza. I don't know much about that other than that.
Yeah, we're not up to date on that, but I can see why social media would break that direction.
Yeah, I think Eliza is generally kind of considered Survivor social media darling. So, yeah, I just don't know. Like, obviously we kind of stay off social media, so I don't really know what's going on there. I just know there's a feud. Let's get a best worst player of the episode, huh?
Yep.
Josh, kick us off. Who's your best player?
Man, I was really hoping that I'd be able to figure this out during the episode while we were recording, because it was a little up in the air for me. I think I'm gonna go with Mike here, even though it's so questionable, like the methods to Mike's madness, but it worked. And like you're saying, I think Mike needs to take a lot of swings in order to even have a chance at the end. So if his crazy ideas and methods are what takes him out, can you really be mad at that? You do what it takes to win the game. And I think that's what Mike is doing. So I'm going to give it to him for that.
Yeah, same thing. It's Mike. It's a weird spot, and do not emulate this because I don't think anyone listening to this is the showrunner of a TV show. Maybe you are. I can't even think of any of the famous showrunners off the top of my head.
Taylor Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan or Carlton Cuse, Damon Lindelof. If you guys are on Survivor, maybe you can play the Mike White game. Maybe
Tyler Perry
on your second time. Sure, maybe you can pull it off. But this is what works for Mike and no one else.
First of all, in the movie Medea Plays Survivor, Tyler Perry would play Tyler Perry, and he would find the Tyler Perry idol.
Don't put this into existence. He's heard you. That is in production now. Congratulations.
Production, I hear, is halfway complete, actually, as of me speaking this sentence. My best is also Mike White. And I know I just said I'm not really grading his performance. I'm saying I'm not really grading it on the downside.
You're grading it on the Mike White curve.
Yes, there's a Mike White curve. I'm not sure if it's logarithmic, exponential. I have no idea. It's just the Mike White curve.
I just know it has a glass of wine involved.
Yes, there's a glass of wine at the top of the hill where Angelina's probably on a ladder. I do give an honorable mention to Christian. The reason being is because I think that he recovers with Emily really, really well. The way he reacts to the bad news is awesome. He settles it. He brings Emily back into the fold. There's a chance that he loses Emily when she comes back with buyer's remorse. She kind of drove the car off the lot, but he's like, you know what? I will take a return today. And that is a ding on Emily's game going forward. I also put her decoding him talking about Aubrey's idol way more on Emily than I do on Christian. Like, sure, he can do better. She needed to do way, 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 way better because it's Christian. He's not trying to throw you under the bus at the last second. Now, if Dee does it, if Cirie does it, if almost anybody else does it, sure, maybe there's some shenanigans here. If Christian is capable of doing that, give him the win, But sometimes you just need to understand who's talking to you and get out of your own head. So I have honorable mention to Christian for the way he handled the situation after it all went to crap.
My worst player of the episode is Christian.
No.
Dishonorable mention to Emily.
No. You're
Because
so wrong. Ryan,
you forgot something.
no, you get to do this to me sometime. I'm doing it back to you. You are so wrong. You have a chance to change your mind. I can't wait.
You've forgotten one major thing.
No, I have not.
Yes, you have.
No, I have not.
So Christian, I think he really did totally, basically inexcusable screw up not getting this information to Emily sooner. And then I think he screwed up again by telling her it all on the mat. So all that's bad. Now, he does do a good job of reacting and patching things up with Emily when he finds out about that. But it is 100% his fault they lost the immunity challenge.
It's not 100%. And
1-0-0.
I haven't forgotten about it. It just doesn't matter.
It absolutely matters. He's the reason they're at Tribal Council. Now, dishonorable mention to Emily because, she needed to do better. Now, she did bounce back and fix it. So, the two of them, it's not a disaster. It's not a disaster, and I don't have anybody worse than either of them. So they did fix it up. And then I do like Emily making this kind of side deal with Ozzy, trying to basically expand her game, and so she's not just relying on Christian and Devins. And that was kind of the tiebreaker for me. It was close. It was really close between these two. But I'm going to give Emily my dishonorable mention, Christian my worst player.
Emily is the worst player. And in fact, I'll go so far as to say that she was, well, I guess Genevieve has some bad, but Emily was the only bad player this episode, in my opinion, other than Q, who really didn't have much of a shot anyway. He took some big swings to save himself. Emily was 98% in the wrong. She got so in her head. This was some pre-merge first season nonsense. How she let this paranoia get into her, and where she immediately, I think it reeked a little bit of desperation, how she went immediately spilled the only carrot that she has to these people that she doesn't know in a desperate attempt to fit in when she was already baked into the majority of the swap. She overcomplicated it for absolutely no reason. She's like, hey, this is a perfectly nice minivan parked outside the zombie apocalypse bunker. I'm just going to throw a grenade into it for no reason so that I can't ever escape.
Oddly specific Zombieland double tap reference.
All I'm saying is she didn't need to blow up the perfectly good minivan, and she blew up the perfectly good minivan. And by the grace of Christian, maybe it can be repaired. Maybe. But if I'm Christian and I find out that she's doing side deals with Ozzy and we're supposed to keep it secret, no, Emily, you're out. I'm sorry. Like, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. Emily, you gotta go. So I think that her risk with Ozzy was really dumb. I think she needed to just play it cool and be chill for one vote. She's maybe getting away with it, but Emily is the worst. It's not close. Ryan, we need to talk about your drinking problem.
I gave her a dishonorable mention.
Yeah, I've done that plenty of times where you're like, no, worst. And Ryan, I gotta tell you, Emily Flippin is your winner pick, and you've got the Emily colored glasses on.
Oh, no.
Take them off.
I regret.
Take them off.
I don't like my Emily winner pick anymore.
She was the worst player. I'm not saying she's a bad player. She was the worst player of this episode. And I know that a commenter said, you say, and it's not even close. This one's not. This one's not.
It's close.
No,
it's close.
It's not.
I can understand why you would put her as worst. I get it, but it's close.
This is what it's like to be Ryan with us. So sure of himself and having a couple people who dare to disagree with him. But I'm so confident this time. Listeners, please chime in.
Well, let's hear from Josh first. Josh, maybe you can tie break this one.
Why, hello. Yeah, I'm still here. This is interesting. Because I don't think either of you are going to like my answer here. Because I have a dishonorable mention for both of them. I have someone else who's the worst player of the episode. But before I get to that, I will say, if I had to choose between the two of you, mom and dad, I would side with Derek here.
Thank you.
Just because Christian did have, Emily did as well, but I generally liked Christian's thought process along the way with wanting to tell people about the idols and wanting to patch things up and kind of internalizing the things that he didn't like instead of it being just, out front for Emily. Since both of them had so much other positive stuff going on, I'm going to go a different direction here. And it's one single thing, and it's very specific. I'm going to give it to Charlie. And I'm going to give it to Charlie because I very much disliked his thought process on the situation with Rizzo. He is completely in his right to be upset about oh, Rizzo didn't vote for Sophie, and since Maria didn't vote for me, I need to take Rizzo out at the very next opportunity because I don't want him to sniff the jury. Now, the reason behind it, if it's because you don't want Rizzo to sniff the jury because you don't trust that he's going to vote for the right person in the end, or that he's not going to vote for you in the end because you guys are alliance members and something ends up happening and he feels salty. I don't know. I don't know what the right situation would be for that to pay off in that way, but that's not what he was talking about. This is a spite move from outside the game, and it has nothing to do with the gameplay of Rizzo's. So because of that, I think that there is no good that can come from something like that. And bringing in outside motivation because you can't leave your baggage in the past is really bad in my eyes. And Charlie's a much better player than that to let something like that be his central focus in a tribe swap situation. So that is why I'm giving it to Charlie.
I'll say Charlie's behavior is concerning, but he did it all in confessional. I see what you're saying. There is a potential Charlie worst player of the episode because of a bad move in the near future because of this. I almost thought you were going to go with Rizzo, and then you went with Charlie because Rizzo is the one who maybe brought up this stuff and didn't bring it up in the right way, maybe to the right people. But yeah, this is an interesting take, and maybe we need to talk about your drinking problem.
You beat me to it.
I'm more on Ryan's team than I am on your team.
I'm more on Derek's team than I'm on your team.
Yeah. I don't. They got something weird in the Minneapolis water.
That's fine.
It's okay. That's okay. All right, moving on.
I just really did not like his thought process of it.
I mean, that's fair. It's just he hasn't done anything yet with it.
Yeah.
No, but he is so serious about it, and I know it's all in confessional right now, but like he is legitimately like just he's distracted, it seems like.
Sure. I could buy that. I really thought you were gonna say Rizzo or Genevieve. I was not expecting you to say Charlie at all.
Yep.
I mean, I'm here for hot takes, and
Okay.
I love the hot take.
Wow.
But I agree more with Ryan. Anyway,
I know. I said you guys aren't going to agree with me.
respect for the hot take. Respect for the hot take.
All right, let's get into who is going next. Derek, start us off. Take us over to Sela. Who's out next?
I'm going to bite because I don't really know what's going on here and say we've got a couple threads. It could either be like Suri or D if that blows up, or we could see Charlie's feud come to fruition with Rizzo. I'm going to go with Rizzo for right now just because Charlie has more connections over there and he might be able to bully Bruce his way to one. So I have Rizzo.
I had Suri. The conversation with D and Jonathan, I feel like it just makes sense. It's like, we're going to hate to see Suri go, but you got to do it. You got to do it at some point. And logically, she doesn't have the numbers. It's Suri, so she can have the numbers at any point, but just right now, it doesn't make sense.
Well, see, I think it's going to be Rizzo because they like Suri so much, and if Charlie pushes for Rizzo, they'll be like, yeah, okay, any reason to not get rid of Suri, this is a good enough reason. So I agree with Derek. I think it's going to be Rizzo.
And if that happens, would you give Charlie the worst play of the episode?
It depends.
It depends on how he does it.
But yeah, potentially. It's always possible. All right, take us over to Kalo, Josh. Who's going next?
You teased it earlier. I think that Genevieve is going to go out via idol. I think that it's going to come Aubrey's way, and she's going to actually play the idol this time and take out her apparent number one nemesis.
Yep, same thing.
I'm going in a slightly different direction. I think it might be Coach. I feel like he's going to coach himself out of the game, but he's still going to get idled out of the game. But for some reason, Aubrey's going to try and use that to build bonds with maybe some of the other people who see Coach as a threat and breaking up the honor and integrity trio that they might see as broing up out there. So I wanted to pick one of the bros. That's really the only reason.
All right, I'll take us over to Vatsu. So the next time on Survivor didn't really give us much. It was just a bunch of goofy stuff with Zach Brown showing up. So I'm going to guess that means it's going to be predictable or it was either predictable in terms of like just a straightforward kind of average vote, or it was teased this week. So we can spend more time with Zach Brown next week. So I'll just keep it simple. Stephanie's going next.
I have Stephanie.
All right, let's move over into who can win this game. Last week I had Joe. Derek, you had Chrissy. And Josh, who were you on?
I've had Jonathan.
Yep.
Jonathan. So yeah, let's see if there's any changes here. Derek?
I've got no changes yet. I'm not saying I didn't like that Chrissy got a little bit of a reality check, but I think when you're getting reality checked by Coach, you're in a pretty bad place. So until I see someone fall, I'm going to probably stick with Chrissy. Emily fell a little bit this episode.
But not enough.
Not enough.
Josh, do you still have Jonathan or have you moved on?
I'm still going to keep Jonathan for now. It's close. I would almost switch to Stephanie, just because I haven't seen much from her.
That's
it's
fair.
more so just been like nostalgia at this point of like, man, I remember when I was the last person on my tribe. You guys remember that? I remember that. And not necessarily anything as far as like good gameplay goes. So yeah, Jonathan, but would have otherwise been Stephanie.
Close to Stephanie. I get it. I had Joe. I'm going to stick with Joe again. There wasn't enough for me to move the needle this time.
So we're all kind of in agreement, like
yeah.
not enough to really change positions on this yet.
We'll see as things stabilize post-tribe swap.
No new forks for me.
All right. Last thing we're going to do is check in with the survivor pool. So Josh, take the floor.
So with the survivor pool, to recap from last week, Ryan had Joe, Derek had Ozzy, and I had Aubrey. So we are all safe. We all made it through. The same cannot be said about some listeners, though. As happens in the second episode of the season, we did have some people who did not get their submissions in. So, they maybe got a little excited, wanted to be part of the survivor pool, and then just, if you fall off, it happens. I get it. Maybe you get busy. So shout out to Brandon, Kirst, TJ6917, Larnell, and Jen Alaska. They all, unfortunately, did not get their picks in time. If you did submit it, like I said, we've had a lot of people who are playing. So if I somehow missed it, correct me and show me where I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure I got them all. So sorry, but you're out.
Send you to Ghost Island.
Yep. And we did have a couple people who did pick Q. So shout out to Angie. Shout out to D. Not the same D, I don't think, who's playing right now, because it's just spelled D with a lot of E's. And Brianna. They all pick Q, and that means that they're out.
Rest in peace.
Everyone get your submissions in if you want to keep playing. It's an unforgiving world out there. And if you don't get your submission in, you're out.
I'm pretty sure that D was the one person in the world who got my One Tree Hill reference back in the Millennials versus Gen X pre-merge podcast. So we do read the comments, folks.
Well, thanks for playing. We appreciate it. Welcome to the graveyard on Ghost Island. Try again next season.
As for this week, who wants to start?
Yeah, you're up, Josh.
All right. I'm going to go with the person who I think can't win this game because who knows when he might end up getting taken out. I think that there's still reason enough for them to keep Jonathan around another week, but who knows? Any time could be his last. So I'm going Jonathan.
I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen next week. So I'm going to go with someone with a little hardware. I'm going to take Aubrey.
I have no idea how long this person will be in this game, but I feel good about them right now, Mike White.
Okay.
This is as good of a position as Mike White could possibly be in this
How could
game.
he possibly mess it up?
He can.
He absolutely can.
It can happen.
He was in Next Time on Survivor talking about being Machiavellian, so,
It's true.
never know.
It's true.
Use him before he's gone. If I go out picking Mike White, I can live with that.
Okay, that's fair. You just pour yourself a glass of wine and move on.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's another episode in the books. Let's get the Zach Brown thing over with. I don't know why he's going to be here, and I don't particularly care.
He brought his guitar.
Great.
Awesome. Great.
Did he bring a mini fridge full of Sprite? Then I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but they had the intro this week, and in the intro was like a spinning coin. So I thought we were going to get Mr. Beast this week, but we didn't.
Let's get that over with, too. Can he show up with Zach, and we just have a Mr. B. Zach Brown concert and move on with our lives? I saw somebody refer to him as Mr. Least, and I really enjoyed that.
One of our commenters said that.
Speaking of commenters, do we have any questions?
Yes, we had a couple that I'd like to bring up. And for anyone for next week, send us DMs or in the Spotify comments, wherever it might be, regarding this episode or the season, and we'll answer them on the podcast. So the first one, there was a comment that I kind of wanted to shout out. It's not necessarily a question, but we didn't mention it last week on the podcast. But Bob on Spotify mentioned that Jeff said apparently after Winners at War that they would actually never hide an idol at Tribal Council. So I wonder how many players in the game would know that. once that actually ends up coming up? If someone finds it, would they recognize that and be like, I wonder if this is just one big ruse? So we didn't really talk about that last week, so I want to make sure that I mention that.
Jeff is an unreliable narrator as much as he tries to be a reliable narrator.
Yep. Maybe, yeah. I think if you're on the island and he says that to you, I think you can treat it as gospel. Other than that, I don't really take anything Jeff says as gospel.
Because he said it post-game.
Yeah. Jeff has changed his mind on stuff before. Remember, after Winners of War, he said nobody from pre-Winners of War was going to be returning for the foreseeable future.
Well,
that's not what happened.
All right, so on to some actual questions. Speaking of Mr. Least, Apple's on Spotify said, assuming Mr. Least hasn't shown up in episode 3, which he hasn't, what do you think he'll do? An advantage? Have festivals as a food reward? Interested to hear your thoughts.
What I'll say is this. It's probably some BS advantage that I'm going to hate. What I would be okay with is corporate shilling his Feastables chocolate bar, because that is much closer to a mini fridge full of Sprite than it is production interference in the game. I'm a sucker for corporate shilling. The Applebee's Liz meltdown is one of my favorite moments in Survivor history. But if he shows up and gives an overpower advantage, the only thing I'll be able to say is, I'm pissed.
Yeah. I think the best, I think that would be okay if it's just some dumb corporate shilling thing. I think it's okay if it's a dumb, like if it's a Mr. Beast box advantage or whatever, and it's got a stupid name, but it's like a cool idea for an advantage, kind of like the Boomerang Idol.
And we just dropped the Billie Eilish.
Yeah, we could just move on from Billie Eilish, call it a Boomerang Idol, and move on with our day. Hopefully it won't be the Beast box, so it's a little harder to drop the name on. Hopefully it's got a better name, or we can do something with it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know enough about Mr. Beast to say either way. I'm just annoyed.
I like Derek's take on it. Just make it some goofy promotional thing like back in the day. Feels like classic Survivor.
I'm really hoping that it's not, hey, quit the game now and I'll give you $100,000.
Yeah, that would actually make me actively pissed.
Yeah. If it's that, if it's that and anyone takes it, I never want them on Survivor again, and I never want to talk about them again.
Correct.
All right, and then from EHS Luther, maybe, on Spotify, question is, by all accounts, a lot of pregame alliances are in play, similar to other returner seasons like Game Changers and Winners at War. Is that going to factor into our commentary?
I have not looked at any of the pregame alliances intentionally. I try and avoid that stuff.
We've talked about this stuff in the past. One problem in the social media era is you never know when something might accidentally get spoiled. You might see something you don't want to see. I don't really want to talk about it unless the show treats it as canon. The one exception I will make is Rick Devens coming on this podcast and saying that he actively did not participate in pregame alliances, and part of that was because he was an alternate. So there was absolutely no pregaming to do, because until the last minute, he wasn't going. That's as far as I'm willing to go on it, and I'm going to take Rick Devens at his word that it wasn't there. But other than that, I'm with Ryan. I don't know, and I honestly, I don't care to know right now. Maybe after the season, I'll read more about it. So I wish I could give you a better answer. Maybe that makes us sound like hacks.
I just don't like taking in outsides. I want to go off what the show presents us, generally. I think that's more fun for me.
Yeah, and we can always learn after the fact. Ryan, you have strong opinions about seasons like All-Stars and Winners at War because of outside relationships that get brought into the game, or maybe pregame alliances, whatever it might be. And if you find out about those after the game, I think that can shape your opinion on that season, and that's perfectly fine. But I agree, I do enjoy watching through the season as spoiler-free as possible.
And last thing, if it's really important, it seems like the show's giving it to us. Angelina and Mike White being connected. David versus Goliath being connected.
Mike and Ozzy
being connected. So I hope that if it's important enough with a 90-minute episode, they're telling us.
Yeah. Post, Winners at War, Survivor's been more willing to break that barrier of illusion. They talked about the poker alliance and Winners at War. That wasn't real. Stuff like that, if it's important. And yeah, pre-gaming could be a factor. All the show has to do is like get a confessional, be like, yeah, I know this person from before the game, so we have a good relationship. They don't have to present it as pre-gaming. They could just present it as, I have a relationship with this person outside of the game. That's all I got to do. And that's good enough if it's relevant.
So direct answer, we're not going to talk about a lot of it unless the show gives it to us.
Exactly. All right, guys, let's wrap this episode up. I think we mentioned all the social media, comment and reach out in all the various places.
Yep. Make sure that if you're still in the Survivor pool, you send the Survivor pool to us. And like Josh said, send any questions anywhere. We will find it.
Anything else, guys?
Nope.
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.